Good morning. We are going to do a walkthrough of how to use Adobe Express to create a video. So first thing we'll need to do is go to adobe.com/express. If you've signed into Adobe before, you may already be signed in. We can click here and get right to Adobe Express. There is a video on the USD Professional Development page that shows how to log in. We want to make sure that we are using the school ID to log in. This is the interface for Adobe Express. We can make graphics, videos, and web pages from here. Today we're going to create a brand new video. So we'll select video. One of the nice things about Adobe Express is that it gives us some templates to get started. So on this page, it's encouraging us to include a title. We'll hit next. There are different templates that we could choose from. They essentially will all work the same. There's just different story starters or structure within them. We're going to start from scratch today. This is our user interface here. We have our individual slide that we are working on. Down below each slide, really a video in Adobe Express is really just a slideshow that's turned into a movie that goes automatically. We can add more slides by clicking that plus sign. We see we have new slides added here, and we can click and drag it to move it to a different order. The things that we can add to our slides are fairly limited. In order to add video, it has to already exist on your computer. So we don't have video that we can search. If you or your students want to add a video, we will go ahead and make sure it is already recorded and saved on your device. We can add text, but let's go ahead and start with a photo. With photos, we do have the option of using Adobe stock footage. We can also upload photos from our computer, or we can even connect to Google Drive. So if you have photos that live in your Google Drive, we can connect it there and find photos that we want to use. Oops. See if we can find something snowy to put in our background. This one looks nice, so we just click on that and it will load into the background. We can make slight adjustments to our image. We can't do much. We can zoom in, make it bigger if we want, and then we can re-center that on the page. Looks good. We'll go ahead and leave it there. The nice thing about our Adobe accounts is that we get all of the premium photos and images are included in that. So there are quite a few images. You can see the ones with the crowns would have been premium, but we have access to those with our educator accounts. The other thing we can add to the background of a slide is called an icon. I just want to show you what those look like. They're basically black line clip arts. So we have a ton of those available. For now, let's go ahead and just add some text. We'll stick with what the title of our video was. Let it snow. In order to change the font, we'll have to take a look at themes, but I'm going to go over that in a little bit. Right now, I want to note that our timer on this slide, the amount of time this slide will show in the video is 4 seconds. We do have the ability to add a voiceover. And let's see if it will let me record while I am also recording. I sure hope that we have a snowy winter. I sure hope that we have a snowy winter. Wishful thinking here in Southern California, right? But you notice that my voiceover went. We did hear that background music. We will talk about that in a bit as well. We can have some editing capabilities with that. If you decide that you don't like your narration and you want to get rid of it completely, we can go to the clock here and remove that narration, and you could start over completely or leave it without any narration at all. So now we have our first title slide. We have 4 different layouts. The default for the title is full screen, where there's an image in the background and text on front. We have a split screen option, which will move our image to one side or the other. And remember, we can always recenter and move that by clicking on that pencil. And then we have our text over on the right. We can also switch it, swap it from one side to the other. We also have an option where the font, instead of being in the middle of the screen, will go down a little bit lower and have some background on it. This is the caption style. Or we can do the title and the text. So we get the title. We can add some text down below. So those are our 4 options. Again, Adobe Express is very limited in some of the things that you can do, but oftentimes I find that that's almost better for our students, so that the designing of the video does not get in the way of the learning objective of the lesson. So if we went to a second slide, we could then change that one to a split screen, and we have the option of adding any of those 4 things on each side. So we can have 2 pictures if we decide to have 2 pictures, but then we would not be able to have text over the top of it. So you'll have to play around with those different layouts for sure. I'm going to go back to this title slide. All right, I said I would talk about theme. The only way to change the font is to change the theme, and it will apply to the entire video. You cannot pick a different theme for each slide. So if we click through these different options, we notice that the font changed, and we also notice that we have different color options. So if I go now instead to this slide, we can see that my color went from black and white to this teal color. If we switch to flare, we see that it gives that sort of pink tint over the top of our image, and changed again to a different font. We have different color options. So there are a few, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different theme options to choose from. So again, not a ton of variety, but there are a few different options so that students that are creating projects can have a little bit of a different look on their projects. Now, music, when I hit play, you notice that there was already music playing in the background of the video. We can change, we have a whole list of Adobe stock music that we can choose from. So it's it's categorized by the type of music that it is. And we can see right now that the one, actually, there it is, Sunlit Valley is the one that is chosen automatically for me. Maybe we want to put Stroll in Central Park instead. Students do have the ability to add their own music if they have music, but you need to make sure that it is copyright-free music. So there are places and ways to get copyright-free music, or if you have students who are creating their own music and things like GarageBand, they could use that music and add it here. But having music in the background of the video really gives it a nice feel. So I mentioned earlier, but if we want to add more slides, we just hit the plus sign here. And again, we can rearrange the order of those just by clicking and dragging on them. Once we think we're pretty happy with how our video looks, we can hit the preview button, get a feel for how that looks. And notice that there are transitions within there built in. We don't have control of those transitions. It's part of the theme. So how the slides transition from one to another is built within there. And then once the video is done, you have a couple of options. Depending on what device you're on, you can just download it. And then students could upload it to your Google Classroom assignment, depending on what you wanted to have them do with it. We can also use the share icon. We can publish it. That will give us a link that we could share with somebody on the web, or we could send it to our Google Drive. So this is the basics of how to use Adobe Spark, not Spark anymore, Adobe Express Video. It used to be called Adobe Spark. It's the exact same user interface if you're familiar with Adobe Spark. But I hope you take some time to check it out.